Hi, everybody. I'm Richard H. Stevens, fantasy author, and today I'm going to read to you an excerpt from my award-winning book, Reecah's Flight. This is book one in the Legends of Lurker series. I'm going to start partway through the book, and Reecah is the main character in the book, and right now she's going to visit the village witch, who she's discovered is actually her aunt. So I'll just start here. Sneaking around the backside of the buildings, Reecah slipped into the lavender porch of Grimelda's clutch. She paused behind the nearest dragon statue and scanned the surroundings in the poor light of a new moon. Nothing stirred. She inhaled deeply and tiptoed to the stained glass door. Finding it locked, she rapped on the lower section, all the while glancing around, fearing the noise her knock had made. Grimelda didn't answer fast enough, so she rapped a second time, louder than the first. She was about to sneak off into the night and return to her hut, but a flickering light from within cast the porch in a rainbow of color through the stained glass. The glow approached the door, and the magical locking mechanisms withdrew, allowing the door to swing inward. Grimelda's haggard face appeared scarier in the dim light of her handheld sconce. Wearing a dirty white apron splattered with dark stains, she leaned on her gnarled walking stick, squinting, and Raver perched on her shoulder. "Gracious, my dear, what took you so long?" Raver bobbed his head up and down, as if he shared Grimelda's worry. Raver is a raven. Reecah blinked. What took her so long? She searched the darkness of the town center before pushing past her great aunt into the mystic shop. "I'm afraid, Auntie Grim." Grimelda closed the door and waved her hand, triggering the locks. She made a clucking noise with her tongue, placed a hand to the small of Reecah's back, and pushed her down the aisle. "Oh, do come in, dearie. I've been expecting you." Come in, dearie, Raver mimicked. Grimelda's words unsettled her, but the raven made her smile, something she hadn't done in a long time. It felt good to be in the company of another person, someone who wouldn't pass judgment on her. "You were expecting me. How did you know I was coming?" Grimelda cackled and shuffled behind the counter, holding the ratty blanket aside for Reecah to enter. "Auntie knows everything." She placed the sconce on a crude knee-high table and searched the shelf behind it. "Ah, what do you know? Here it is. I searched for this all day. All day. Shoo, you dirty bird." Grimelda shrugged her shoulder, and Raver winged to a high shelf near the curving cellar staircase. Reecah looked over Grimelda's shoulder. The witch held a small vial in her wrinkled hand, a greenish liquid kept inside by a blackened cork. "What is it, Auntie?" Grimelda clucked her tongue and held up a crooked finger. "Ah, curious one, eh? You shall see soon enough. Take this and follow me." Grimelda handed her a gray stick. "Is this a—" "Yes, dearie. Something to write with." Grimelda dropped the vial into an apron pocket and plucked a sconce from the table. Hobbling to the back of the room, she descended the twisting stairwell to the damp cellar below. Torches burned in racks around the perimeter of a small cavern, the sacrificial altar surrounded by wrought iron candelabras. Stepping off the bottom step, it appeared Reecah had interrupted some kind of ritual. The fount at the head of the altar contained a crimson liquid, very much resembling— She swallowed, her gaze falling on the dark stains on Grimelda's apron. Her jubilation at sharing someone else's company forgotten, she approached the fount. Is this what I think it is?" "Hey, dearie?" Grimelda shuffled off to one side, rummaging through an assortment of stone bowls. Finding the one she sought, she said, "Oh, don't touch that." Reecah pulled her hand back. Grimelda hobbled past her with a small ladle. She scooped 3 precise measures of crimson liquid into the stone bowl, careful not to spill a drop. Setting the bowl on the altar, she pulled the green vial from her apron pocket and removed the stopper with her teeth. The cork between her lips, she tilted the small bottle and dispensed 1, then 2, and finally 3 drops into the bowl. "Look closely, my dear child, but do not touch." Reecah bent over, inspecting what she suspected was blood. She shuddered. Where did it all come from? She was about to ask, but something pulled on the top of her head, stopping her. "Ow!" Grimelda held a few strands of hair between her thumb and forefinger. "What'd you do that for?" Ignoring her, the crone inspected the hairs and selected 3, dropping them one by one into the bowl. Without hesitation, she reached up and pulled a few of her own gray strands, depositing 3 of them into the dark liquid one at a time. Reecah backed away. She had come at a bad time. The sudden appearance of Raver flapping down the stairwell made her jump. The raven landed on the rim of the fount and stood blinking at Grimelda as if he had been summoned. Grimelda selected a small knife from beneath the folds of the utensil table on the far side of the altar and leaned her walking stick against a marble slab. Raver, to me! Raver squawked and landed on the altar. In a flurry too fast for Reecah to comprehend, Grimelda's hand closed on the bird and held him against the marble slab, deftly severing the two side toes on his left foot close to his leg. Raver screeched and pecked at her hand, drawing blood, but Grimelda didn't let go until she severed a side toe from his right foot, all three toes lying on the altar. Raver flew erratically into a shelf beside the stairs and dropped to the ground. He fell on one side, making an awful noise. Flapping furiously, he righted himself and disappeared up the steps. Reecah couldn't believe what had just transpired. The old lady was stark raving mad. She wanted to go after the injured bird, but Grimelda's grim face held her. Auntie Grim, what are you doing? Trust me, child. That hurt me more than it did my little chum. Reecah's mind reeled. What a nice way to treat your little chum. There was no way her aunt's guilt was more painful than Raver losing 3 toes. Before I go, I must ask a boon of you. Reecah's brow furrowed, unable to take her eyes off the toes, an offending knife still clutched in Grimelda's hand. Where did the crazy witch think she was going? Are you familiar with Dragon Fang Pass? Reecah traveled as far as the Fang, a towering rock formation at the head of the pass, but had never ventured far into the dragon-infested valley itself. She wasn't sure she wished to entertain Grimelda's question. The image of the knife severing Raver's toes wouldn't leave her. North of here, deep within the pass, is an old temple built centuries ago by the first Windwalkers. Grimelda put her knife on the utensil table, grabbed her stick, and hobbled to confront Reecah. Do you hear me, child? The intensity in the witch's bloodshot gaze made Reecah's breath catch. She nodded out of fear. Good, because this is important. When I'm gone, you'll be the only one left on this side of the Great Kingdom capable of saving the dragons. Saving the dragons? Reecah was incredulous. I can't swing a sword to save myself. I'd expect me to face a dragon. I wouldn't survive its first breath. Grimelda held up a hand. Shh, child. Listen, you must save the dragons, not fight them. Then why did you give me great-grandmother's weapons? To protect you from everyone else. I don't understand. Grimelda gave her a patient smile. I wish I could train you in the ways of the Windwalker, but my time is at hand. Reecah gaped. Where was her aunt going? Grimelda wagged a crooked finger. I'm out of time. You must go to the Dragon Temple. She raised an eyebrow. Aye, guarded by a beast old enough to have seen the mountains formed. Locate their schism to claim your heritage. Remove the dragon's eye from the Watcher and bring it back here. Dragon's eye, Watcher, schism. What are you talking about? Locate a temple protected by a dragon? Grimelda's expression told her that the witch knew of her fear. What I ask is very important. Can you do that for an old lady, child? What could she say? Deny her great aunt's dying wish? The relevance of that sobering thought hammered itself home. You're not dying, Auntie Grim. Look at you. She didn't know how to express her alarm. Grimelda grabbed her wrist. Shh. It's time you left. You mustn't witness the transfiguration spell. Reecah mouthed the word transfiguration in horror. She had no idea what it meant, but it sounded prophetic. You'll wait until I return, won't you? Promise me you will be here when I return. Sorry, that's Reecah's voice. The compassion in Grimelda's smile confirmed her fear. Auntie Grim, I can't go on without you. You're all I have. Her watery gaze darted around the cellar. I know. Come with me. We'll find this dragon's eye together. We can. Reecah Windwalker! Grimelda spoke with such conviction, Reecah wasn't convinced the feeble old woman had said it at all. A quick scan confirmed there was no one else in the flickering cavern. Promise, Grimelda, that no matter what happens tonight, you'll return with the dragon's eye. Reecah swallowed, conscious of the tears falling from her cheeks. She nodded. I promise. Heed these words well, for they're the only thing standing between you and a long, lonely death. Grimelda's features twisted into a hideous effigy of her wrinkled self, her voice taking on a manly timbre. There'll come a time in the not-too-distant future that you'll be required to accept your heritage if you want to survive. Pray, child, you are wise enough to open your heart and let the truth guide you. Reecah swallowed. The crone's crazed words lost on her. All she wanted to do was pull away. Thank you.